So be honest, how many times have you come home from work with every intention to get things done after work, only to end up on the couch scrolling, exhausted, and then telling yourself, I'm just going to do it tomorrow? I know this because this was me for the longest time. I had big personal goals, side projects, and creative dreams that I wanted to start. But by the end of my full-time job, I felt like I had no energy or structure to actually make any progress. Now, the breakthrough came when I started implementing simple evening time blocking systems. Not complicated, right? Not hours of color-coded blocks. Just a realistic way to divide my evening so I could rest and get the important things done without being overwhelmed. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk you through that exact system. So stick with me to the end, because I'll also share a mistake that most people make with evening routines that keeps them inconsistent and how to avoid it. Hello there, my name is Laura, and I help working women with big dreams find the time to consistently show up for the creative side projects without burning out. So evenings are the hardest time to stay productive, right? Because you're tired, you're distracted, and your brain simply just wants to rest. However, if you use your evenings with intention, even 1 to 2 focused hours will completely change the trajectory of your side projects or your personal goals. So stick with me and let me show you how you can make this work. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set your evening intentions even before the day starts. So the biggest reason most of us lose our evenings is because we do not plan ahead on how we actually want to use them. So we get to the end of the workday tired, hungry, decision fatigue, and by then it's way too easy for you to default to Netflix or scrolling rather than making any real progress towards your side projects or any of your personal goals. And that is why personally I set my evening intentions when I am planning my week during my weekly planning sessions. And it's simple, right? You want to ask yourself, what is the one thing that I can do this week that is going to help me make progress towards my goals, whatever that might be? And this is so important, right? And here are 3 reasons. Number 1, it removes decision fatigue because you already know what each night is for, right? And you do not waste time and waste energy trying to decide what you actually want to do. Secondly, it creates accountability. By writing it down or putting it in your calendar, you are actually making a commitment to yourself. And third, it protects your energy. You can pace your day differently when you actually know what is waiting for you at the end of the day. So for example, your evening intentions might be work for 60 minutes on my side projects or on this specific personal goal. It might be, okay, this specific evening I am going to do meal prep for the rest of the week. Or it might be do a workout and reset your space. So it doesn't have to be a long list, right? Just one clear focus that makes your evening purposeful. Because when you decide in advance, you're no longer leaving your evenings up to chance. You're giving yourself direction before the exhaustion sets in. Now, the second step to your evening time blocks is you want to use small routines to transition from work mode. One of the hardest parts about being consistent after work isn't just being tired. It is that your brain is still in work mode. You've been answering emails, sitting in meetings, solving problems all day, and then you expect yourself to suddenly switch gears from work to your side project or personal goals or personal priorities. No wonder it feels impossible, because sometimes it really is impossible. And that is why I use transition routines, right? These are small intentional actions that signal to my brain the workday is over and now it's time for me. Now, these don't need to be long or complicated, right? In fact, the simpler the better. And here are a few examples. This can be a physical reset, right? And it can be you change out of your work clothes, or take a shower, you make dinner, or you do some family responsibilities, or maybe you do a quick walk to like shake up the day, or even do a full workout, right? When I had to drive to work, I'll work out in the morning before going to work. And this is because for the most part, when I come back from work, I am so exhausted and it is hard for me to actually go work out after work. However, when I work remotely, what I do is I work out during my lunch breaks. So this is something you can do, or you can actually find your own rhythm, your own routine, and stick with that, make adjustments if necessary. Another thing that can help you transition from work mode is an environmental reset. And this is where you tidy your desk, maybe you light a candle, or you switch locations, right? This is simply like maybe moving from your work desk or from your office to somewhere else, maybe your kitchen counter, your dining table, somewhere out of your office environment, right? Or your work environment. This simply just helps you create a fresh mental space and gives you kind of momentum and motivation to transition now into whatever else you're trying to do. And for me, this is really my number one reset technique, right? I really love this. Like after work, when I'm working remotely, I simply just get out of my workspace and I go to my island, my kitchen, and I do any kind of personal work from there. And the final transition technique is a mental reset. So this is where you can take 5 minutes to maybe journal, pray, or practice gratitude so you are not taking in or carrying work stress into your own personal space. So this micro routines create separation between your 9 to 5 and your side project hours, right? They act like a mental doorway, closing out work and opening up space for creativity, focus, and rest. So when you skip this step, you risk dragging the exhaustion and stress of your day into your evenings. However, when you intentionally reset, you reclaim your energy and give yourself a clean slate to follow through on your evening intentions. Now, the third thing you want to do is you want to block out 1 to 2 hours of deep work and not the whole night, right? One of the reasons a lot of people burn out is because they treat every single evening like it is a full-blown second shift. So after working a full-time job or a 9 to 5 all day, they try to push through 4 to 5 hours of personal or side project work or some personal goal work. And within a week, they are completely exhausted. Now, here's the mindset shift that you need to know. You do not need to work on your side project or personal goals every single night or all night, right? Now, what actually moves the needle is focusing on 1 to 2 hours just a couple of nights a week, right? That's it. And here's how that works. You have to know that focused efforts beats scattered efforts, right? When you sit down with a clear time block, you're more intentional and less distracted. Know that 2 focused hours is always going to outproduce 4 scattered ones or 4 unfocused ones. Secondly, you want to focus on consistency over intensity. Working 1 to 2 hours a couple of days in a week consistently builds momentum over time. However, trying to do marathon nights often leads to burnout and inconsistency. And third, you need to leave room for balance. So not working every night gives you space to rest, recharge, and actually enjoy your evenings. So when you do sit down for your side projects, you then bring in like enough energy or the proper energy. So for example, you might choose Tuesdays and Thursdays for your side project nights, right? So again, this is an example you can block off maybe, let's say 7 to 9 p.m. You close out distractions and then you focus on your one thing for that evening. Now, whether that's creating content, building your product or your offer, or pitching clients, whatever that might be. And here's the best part. Even if you only show up twice a week, that's 8 to 10 hours of focused work a month. And over the course of a year, that's about 100 hours invested in your dreams. And that is how you create real momentum without sacrificing your job or your health or your sanity. So remember, it's not about working all night. It is about working intentionally in the time you do have. So the final step for your evening time blocking is protecting your rest and your recovery. So most people fall into the trap of thinking rest is something you earn after you've done enough work. However, the reality is rest is the fuel that makes everything else possible. Without it, your focus, your energy, your creativity will run empty. And that is when burnout creeps in. So protecting your rest does not mean you stop working on your side projects or your personal goals, right? It means you set boundaries so you can show up consistently with the right energy to actually make progress. Now here's what you want to do, right? The first thing is you want to set a hard stop. Decide when your evening time block ends and stick to it. If your side project block ends at 9 p.m., go ahead and close your laptop at that time and then you transition into your wind down mode. This simply tells your brain it is okay for you to switch off. Right. This is really important because it helps you set more realistic goals, knowing that you have only 4 hours a week or 6 hours a week to dedicate towards your personal goals or your side projects. So that really helps you be more realistic when you're setting goals for yourself. Second thing you want to do is you want to create a wind down routine. So simple practices like journaling, reading, gratitude signal to your body that it is that time for you to rest, right? And they also help you process the day so you're not carrying stress into the night. The third thing is, which is so important, you want to prioritize sleep. So it is very tempting to stay up late to get more done. However, trading sleep for work always backfires. So protecting your sleep means you wake up clear-headed and you're ready to tackle both your 9 to 5 and your side projects and your personal dreams with the right energy. And finally, you need to understand that rest equals consistency. So burnout doesn't come from working hard, it comes from working without recovery. So by protecting your rest, you're making sure that you can show up again tomorrow, next week, and next month without constantly starting over. So think of it this way, your rest is part of your productivity system. It is not wasted time, right? It is what makes all of your efforts sustainable. Because the truth is, your side projects and your personal dreams is not going to be built in a one all-nighter, right? It is built by showing up consistently, and that only happens by protecting your rest as fiercely as you protect your work. So you do not need to overhaul your evenings, right? You just need to give them structure. With clear blocks, simple routines, and time to rest, your evenings can actually become the most powerful part of your day. So this system is not about squeezing more into your evenings or more into your day, right? It is about creating a rhythm that actually fits your life, so you can make consistent progress on your side projects or your personal goals without burning out. But here's the thing, having a routine is one step. What really makes a difference is having a system that keeps you consistent even when life gets messy. And that is why I am offering free clarity calls where we're going to look at your goals, your schedule, and your energy, and then we're going to walk through next steps on having a personalized system or plan that makes time blocking and consistency work for you. So the link to book a free call is in the description box below or the comment section below. But before you go, what is the hardest part about using your evenings well? Is it energy? Is it focus? Or is it distractions? Please comment below. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share with someone who needs a productivity boost, subscribe to this channel for weekly videos, and watch this video on the screen next on the one mindset shift that helped me stay consistent even when life got messy. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye.